Sorry to interrupt, but literally in the last 60 seconds that you've been talking, Michel Barnier has actually tweeted, and I have to say it's not hugely positive. Let me just tell you what he says. We agreed to pause the talks in order to brief our principals on the state of play of the negotiations. President von der Leyen and Prime Minister Johnson will discuss the state of play tomorrow afternoon. As you can see on the screen, actually, he also tweeted, after 1 week of intense negotiations in London, together with David Frost, we agreed today that the conditions for an agreement are not met due to significant divergences on level playing field, governance and fisheries. So, Adam, still a long way from agreement, it would seem, tonight.
That's really important because what he's effectively saying is that my reading with that would be that Michel Barnier, who has a mandate, effectively a set of instructions about how far he can go, is almost raising a white flag and saying, I can't go any further within the strictures that are in place. Now, this has been talked about over the past 48 hours, I think both in the UK and here in Brussels, as being the only way out of this could be for Ursula von der Leyen, the boss of the European Commission, to get on the phone to Boris Johnson and thrash things out person to person. And those three things that you just outlined there are the three sticking blocks we've had before. If we just run through it. Fisheries. The UK does not want to allow European fishing boats into its waters in any substantial numbers. The European Union says that is outrageous. Level playing field. This is the, in a sense, for some people's idea that the essence of sovereignty is to try to flex different rules. The EU says that isn't acceptable if you're going to enter the single market. And governance is really about how you run this deal. And those three things have been talked about for months. If they haven't made progress on those, there won't be a deal. And I think what you're there is Messrs Barnier and Frost saying, we've gone as far as we can. We need concessions. We need compromises. And the people who can do that are Boris Johnson on the side of the UK, Ursula von der Leyen to an extent, but then that's really going to need European leaders as well. But to get to this point, that is not a good sign. That is not an optimistic set of words from Michel Barnier. I mean, frankly, when you're pausing negotiations with less than a month to go before Brexit comes to an end, well, you're a long, long way from the finishing line.
OK, Adam, in Brussels, thank you very much. Well, our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates, is with me in the studio. As Adam was saying there, I mean, it doesn't look good, does it? There was some hope for optimism in that Michel Barnier was going to stay for the weekend. Talks were obviously going to continue. But what's your reading of this latest tweet?
So I think that ultimately there was always going to be a moment where Boris Johnson needed to politically intervene in these talks. The British side have been saying that for 10 days. The EU side have signalled that even this week, and this is it. There also needed to be drama. There needed to be drama because Britain needs to have scored a victory in the eyes of public opinion in the final furlong of these talks, and that was quite hard given the mandate that Michel Barnier set and was having to work to, set by the EU 27. So while I completely agree with Adam, it is not an optimistic sign that the principal negotiators cannot strike a deal. Nevertheless, I think everybody was expecting there having to be this moment where the most senior people involved in the negotiation, the head of the Commission and the British Prime Minister, actually got involved, got on the phone in the progress to a deal. It was expected yesterday, and here it is tonight. You would expect the negotiations to be paused while that took place. There's not a lot more that Mr Barnier and Mr Frost can do until that conversation has taken place. There are understood to be issues, particularly around just how you work out how the UK relates to the EU in terms of standards and laws and rules, and the kind of consequences if one side or the other moves away from any agreement. That's the biggest sticking point, I suspect, at the moment. It needs to be dealt with at the very highest level. So we will get better understanding of whether we're heading to a deal or not heading to a deal, I suspect, after this call has taken place.
Yeah, so it's